going to approve this because I think this is a worthy bill, and I think this is a worthy bill to help sort of set the tone. And if all of us out there can sort of come together to support the Autism Society of Florida and these Senate Bill 1644 and House Bill 1231, which would include cameras in the classroom, parameters of restraint, and no seclusion rooms or the use of those padded rooms or cells. It needs to gain support, all right? And this is the opportunity to sit there and be active in making calls in support of this legislation. Okay, we need to rein this stuff in. And the unfortunate thing about Florida is because that's where Parkland is and that's where Parkland occurred, then there's going to be a lot of pushback because of the misperception and the misapplication of the whole Nicholas Cruz thing. All right, he was special education, had an IEP. And there's going to be many people out there that are going to lean toward maintaining these options for cells. Not that Nicholas Cruz was ever put in one. He wasn't. A completely different situation. But people don't think rationally when tragic things occur. Okay? Understand that things in politics and things in our society, whether it be war, whether it be oppression, whether it be discrimination, it's all rooted in fear. All of it. Because I'd have to say the overwhelming majority of our interactions with each other during the day, peaceful. And we don't give a thought about somebody's ethnicity, somebody's gender, somebody's sexual preference, somebody's race. Nobody cares. And I'm talking frankly, guys, nobody cares. You got your rare idiots out there. I mean, but they've been around since the dawn of time. Always been there. But I can tell you, everything is rooted in fear. Any of the negatives. And that's where these laws are perpetuated, okay? And this is where wars are started, over a misunderstanding and a fear of what we don't know. That's why rights are taken away. That's why rights are infringed upon. That's why people are killed by law enforcement. I mean, you named it. Over and over again, I can sit there and point to time and time again. It's rooted in fear. It's rooted in ignorance as well. But the ignorance is what is driving the fear. Because if you're not ignorant, then what is there to fear? So knowledge is the thing that sets us free. But how many of us exercises? How many of us will step outside and go, you know what? This is important. We need to dispel the fear. We need to sit there and gain control, because if there's transparency with cameras in the classroom, I mean, we have our cops wearing them now. Remember when everybody was pushing for, lapel cameras on police officers? And everybody was, we can't do that, then nobody will want to go into law enforcement. Well, there weren't cameras. Now it's just a natural component. And quite frankly, I think it protects the police officer just as much as it does a citizen. We have the technology, we need to be using it. And so if we have cameras throughout the entire school, then there is not that big of a deal to put them into classrooms, especially classrooms with vulnerable populations, many of which can't communicate. And at that point, yes, we are protecting the teacher. We are protecting the student. Because at that point, there are no accusations. We have video proof. We have audio proof. And it's not a violation of FERPA if all the parents in the class agree that a camera will be used. What do you think every parent signs at the beginning of the school year? You sign a consent form for, or at least a notice form that your child will be recorded on school property. The only concern that I have is who is going to have access to this video. And I think it should be a neutral selection of parents and educators, rotated every 6 months. That way nobody can be on the take, nobody can be influenced, and there's no nepotism involved. It is a rotation basis. And so if there is a request or a submission made, then this group, this committee, would see this first and then make a determination based upon that, which I think is fair and logical. But let's see what we can do for Florida, because if we can help Florida out, then we can borrow from this bill, because it would have been successful to sit there and replicate we're going into legislative season in many of the states across the country. We may be able to sit there and create a movement, guys. And inertia is what we need to dispel the ignorance, to get transparency, and to protect our kids.